All right, ladies, let me paint the picture for you, right? You've got the vision board, you got the journal, the crystals are cleaned, the altar is set. You've done the 369 method, the scripting, the new moon rituals, the cord cutting ceremonies, and you felt the feeling of already having him. You've described him in your writing. You know his energy. You've made space for him on your nightstand, in your closet. You've given him a drawer. You've made space for him in your life. And he is still not here. 3 years in, maybe more. And instead of asking yourself the hard question, you downloaded another course. You joined another membership. You got into another mastermind. You found another coach on TikTok who told you to raise your vibration and trust in divine timing. You've exhaled because it felt like an answer. I need you to hear me before I say what I'm about to say here. Okay? I am not here to take your spiritual practice from you. Mindset is very real, energy is real, inner work is real, and it matters. But I'm also a relationship coach. And what I see in my practice in my DMs and the women who sit across from me on Zoom calls is that for a specific type of woman, manifestation has quietly become the most elegant form of avoidance I have ever witnessed. It looks like faith. It sounds like growth. It feels like doing something, and it is keeping her exactly where she is, stuck. So today we are going to dismantle that. Not your spirituality, but the pattern underneath it. So stay with me for this one because it's going to get real. All right. My name is Rachel Davis, and I am here for you. I'm a relationship coach who specifically works with high achieving women, women who have it all, women that have built something special, women who have figured out their careers, they figured out their finances, they figured out their bodies, their friendship. These are women who run departments, they run businesses, they launch businesses, they lead teams, they hold their families together, they hold their friendship group together, and they cannot figure out love. Not because they're broken, not because they're too much, but because the same way of operating has made them successful in every area of their life is working against them in this one, right? So, one of the places I see this showing up most clearly right now is in the manifestation culture. So, I want to be really specific about what this video is and what it is not. All right. This is not a takedown of manifestation. I believe in manifestation. And this is not me telling you to stop believing in something bigger than yourself because I am a child of God. I believe in God. I believe in spirit. And I do not believe that spiritual practice is a waste of time. This is me telling you that tools are only as good as the way we use them. And a tool can be used to build something or it can be used to hide behind something. And today we are going to figure out which one of them you have been doing. So, if this applies to you, you are going to know within the next 10 minutes or so. And if this doesn't apply to you, you're going to think of someone that it does. Either way, let's get into it. Let's start at the beginning because I think there is a fundamental misunderstanding of what manifestation was designed to be, right? The original idea at its core is that what you focus on expands. I teach that in the four laws of focus, that your thoughts, your beliefs, and your internal state shapes the choices that you make and by extension, shape your external reality. That clarity of intention combined with action produces results faster and with more in alignment than scattered, fear based effort does. That is a useful framework, and I promote it. I support it. The problem is what happened to it when it got packaged and sold at scale. Somewhere between the self help section and the algorithms, Manifestation went from a mindset practice to a passive process. The messaging shifted from align your mind and go to journaling it, feeling it, detach from it, and then receive it. And for women who are exhausted, women who have been hurt, women who are high functioning in public but quietly terrified of being hurt again in love, that passiveness felt like mercy. Because if love is just coming to you, then you never have to go to it. And you never have to be vulnerable on a date. You never have to feel rejected. You never have to show up imperfectly with your real hopes and your real fears and let someone decide whether or not they want to choose you. You just wait spiritually, intentionally, purposefully, and you call it alignment, right? Here's what nobody in the manifestation space will say to you, right? The universe does not put love in your lap, it puts it in your path. And if you've been sitting still for 3 years, you have not been walking your path. You have been standing at the trailhead, journaling about the view. I want you to hold that for a second before we go any further, because that is not a small distinction. That is the whole thing. The universe is conspiring for you. And I actually believe that. But you have to be in motion for that conspiracy to find you. You have to be somewhere other than your bedroom. You have to be somewhere other than your vision board, other than doing your inner work. And certainly you have to be somewhere outside of your comfort zone. Waiting is not the same thing as being ready, right? You've been in a waiting room for years, decorating it, making it peaceful, journaling in it, meditating in it, and you've become so comfortable in the waiting room that you stop noticing the door. Now, what if the reason love has not arrived is not because you're the person that is still, well, I'm sorry, it's not because your person is still being prepared for you. What if it's because you have not actually shown up in the places and in the spaces and the conversations and the vulnerability that loves requires to find you? What if the universe has been waiting on you? That's the reframe. And I'm not done yet, right? The specific way this shows up for high achieving women, all right, is very clear. However, I want to get very specific because there is a particular flavor of this pattern that I see in high achieving women. And it is uniquely sophisticated because it has so many layers of legitimacy on top of it. All right. So let's get into it. It sounds like self respect. It sounds like standards. It sounds like healing. And underneath it is an intricate system of protection that was built by a woman who got hurt and decided, consciously or not, that she would never be exposed that way again. And here is what the pattern actually looks like in practice, right? Stay with me. You meet someone, there is potential. He's showing up consistently. The conversations are good, really good. Things start to feel real. And the moment it starts to feel real, something shifts internally. Your nervous system registers it long before your brain can name it. And then you go looking for a reason, right? He's not quite right. His career is fine, but it's not impressive enough. Or his energy's off. Or, I don't know, he was 20 minutes late for a date once. Or he used the wrong word in a text. Or hell, Mercury is in retrograde, right? Or he doesn't match the specific details that you have on your vision board about a man. And you retreat. You go back to your journal. You go back to your standards. You go back to, I'm just not going to settle. The person is coming and I am protecting my energy for him until it does. And guess what? 6 months later, a different man, same exit strategy, different reason, same decision. That is not discernment. That is a pattern. And I say that carefully because discernment is real. Some men are genuinely not right for you. Some exits are correct. But when the exit is always happening and always at the same moment in the timeline and always with a different justification, the pattern is not about the man or the men. The pattern is about the moment things get real. Now, let me tell you what that pattern is protecting you from, right? It's protecting you from the risk of being fully chosen and then losing it because you've been there before. Not necessarily in every relationship, but somewhere in your childhood, your teenage years, your first love, a marriage, I don't know, a situationship that went sideways. You were real with someone. You were present and open and genuinely in it, and something broke, or someone left, or you were blindsided by someone you trusted with parts of yourself that you do not show easily. That hurt cuts deep. I know. And your nervous system made a decision on that day that you may not even consciously remember making. All right. And that decision was never to open that way again. So your nervous system built a security protocol, and the security protocol is elegant because it doesn't look like avoidance. It looks like growth. It looks like elevation. It looks like discernment. It looks like taking your time. It looks like knowing your worth. It looks like a woman who's done the inner work and refuses to settle, right? And it functions as an exit ramp from anything that requires you to genuinely risk being seen and chosen and potentially disappointed again, right? Manifestation becomes the ideological cover for the security protocol, right? So you got the security protocol, and manifestation is over it because now the exit is not, I'm afraid. The exit is, he's not in alignment with my highest self. My energy has to be protected. I am waiting for what is truly meant for me. It sounds so much cleaner than the truth, which is, this is starting to feel real and I panicked. I want you to sit with that one, not in shame, but in recognition. Because the protection made sense. At the time, it made complete sense. The woman who built that protection was doing the best she could with what she had at that time. Yeah, I'm talking about you. She was keeping herself safe. You were keeping yourself safe. But you are not that woman anymore. And the protection that kept you safe then is costing you something beautiful now. And it is costing you something that you so desperately want, right? So what we're going to do is shift gears a little bit, and I want to talk to you about the science of it all. I want to give you a little bit of context here because I think it helps to understand that what you are experiencing is not a character flaw and that it is an actual nervous system response. And the nervous system responses can be understood and over time redirected. So let's get into it. Now, when you experience something painful in the context of closeness and vulnerability, your brain learns that. That's what the brain does. They have pattern recognition mechanisms designed to keep you safe. And when the brain experiences pain in a particular context, it flags that context as a threat and builds in an early warning system. So for many of the women I work with, intimacy itself, not bad relationships, not incompatible partners, but the actual experience of closeness and the possibility of loss that comes with it has been flagged as a threat. And the nervous system triggers the exit before the conscious mind can even evaluate whether or not the person is in actual danger. And this is why you can know intellectually that someone is a good person, and yet you still find yourself pulling away. It's not logic. It is a biological safety mechanism that was built for a situation that no longer exists. And here is where it intersects with the manifestation in a specific way that is important that I want to articulate. One of the functions of many belief systems, whether it's spiritual or secular, is to give us a framework for the things we cannot control, right? That is healthy, that is human. But belief systems can also be recruited by our nervous system to give us a story for behavior that is actually avoidance. And when your nervous system wants to exit, it will find a story, and the story will feel completely true And the story will be supported by real evidence, and the story will release you from the discomfort of staying. And the genius of using spiritual language for that story is that it is almost impossible to argue with. So if someone questions whether or not your energy was really aligned or not with his, or whether Mercury was actually causing timing to be off, it really looks like spiritual beliefs that you and other people will respect. They look real and they feel real. So no one challenge it because it's baked into belief. And that pattern continues. And every year that goes by gets added to the story of evidence that love is not just happening, yet rather than it being some sort of a data point that teaches you that you need to approach it and change it. Now, I said I was not going to be repetitive, so I'm not going to linger here. But what I want you to take from this segment is one thing. Your nervous system is not your enemy, but it is not your dating coach either. Your nervous system is a protective mechanism, yes, and protective mechanisms often need to be assessed periodically to determine whether or not they are still protecting you from something real or whether they are now blocking you from something good. That is your job. And we are going to do some of that work right now. All right. So I want to shift gears a little bit in this video because I want us to start to do an audit, right? This is the part of the video where we audit, where we stop analyzing and we start getting into it. I want you to get something to write with because I'm serious, right? If you're driving, pull over. If you want, pause this and come back because you actually are going to need to answer some of these questions I'm going to ask you and not nod. Now, there are 5 questions, and I want you to answer them honestly because this will only work if you are honest with yourself, right? So, audit question number 1. What does your actual dating behavior look like right now? Not your intention, not your readiness, not what you would do if the right man appeared, but what is your behavior today in the real world of dating? Are you actively putting yourself in situations where you could meet someone? Could it potentially be via dating apps? Are you going out to events? Are you going to social settings? Are you telling your friends that you're open to dating? Or are you waiting to feel ready before you take any of those steps? Right? And be specific. Like, how many dates have you been on in the last 6 months? Right? How present were you on those dates? Meaning, were you genuinely curious about the other person, or were you already running an evaluation checklist in your head even before the food arrived? Right? I want you to write down the number, the actual number, because that number will tell you something your journal cannot. Number of dates, that is. Audit question number 2. What happens the moment it gets real? Think about the last 3 situations where a man was genuinely interested in you and he had real potential. What did you do? Did you lean in or did you find a reason to lean out? Did you stay present or did you start collecting evidence for an exit? Did you give it time or did you make a final determination based on one thing that felt off? If the answer is lean out every time or almost every time, that is data. I want you to write it down, not as judgment, but as information. All right. Audit question number 3. What story are you telling yourself about why love has not happened for you yet? I want you to write that story down verbatim, the actual story, the one that you would tell your best friend over dinner, or the one that you would tell me during a coaching session, or the one that you would tell yourself at 11 p.m. when shit gets quiet, right? I then want you to look at that story and I want you to ask yourself this one question. Does this story require anything from me, or does it explain my circumstances without asking me to change anything about me? Here are some common stories I hear from high achieving women, and the question each one is hiding, right? I don't know, I just haven't met the right person yet. Okay. Well, are you in situations where the right person can find you? And what would you do differently if you actually met them? Or I hear this, I'm still genuinely working on myself. Fantastic. Also, will you ever be finished working on yourself? Because growth is not a destination. And if you are using it as a prerequisite for love instead of something that happens alongside love, that prerequisite will never be met. Or are you saying to yourself, the men in my city just are not on my level? Probably true, possibly true. Also, a very convenient belief that requires zero vulnerability and zero accountability from you. Have you truly exhausted all of the options? Have you expanded your radius? Have you tried new settings? Have you traveled? Have you gone out there with good intentions? Or has this belief just allowed you to declare that the field is empty and there's no men out here? Next question. My person is coming, or he's being prepared for me, or I'm just trusting my timeline, or I just want to be paired with the right person. But if you've been saying yourself to these three, the same thing have you been saying that to yourself for the past 3 years? Then that means you're kind of comfortable with the story. So I want you to audit the story because the story is running the show. All right. Audit question number 4. What would you have to risk if you actually showed up fully? This is the one that matters most, and it is the one that people skip because it requires the most honesty out of yourself. So, if you drop the evaluation mode and if you stopped running the checklist and you just showed up as a real human being on a date, and if you let someone else see not the curated, polished version of yourself, the version that has it all together, but if you let someone see the version that honestly gets lonely and has fears and does not always know what she wants and sometimes cries in the car after a long week, if you let that version of yourself show up, what would you be risking? Men like that version. And whatever came up for you, I want you to jot that down because this is really what the work is about. That thing that is beneath, that pattern that is beneath the vision board that we need to address, right? Audit question number 5. How many times are you spending consuming content about love versus actually pursuing it? Ouch. Let's be honest here. How many relationship podcasts, relationship coaches, TikToks, YouTube, Facebook videos, books, Instagram accounts are you consuming on a weekly basis or hell, even daily basis? How many hours in the same week after week are you spending in the actual pursuit on dates, having conversations, or even in the app or being social? If the first number is significantly higher than the second, then something is off. Information is not action. Inspiration is not action. Feeling seen in a comment section is not action. You can spend years consuming content about love and never get any closer to it, right? The audit is done. What have you come up with? Post it in the comment section. I genuinely want to know. So now that the audit is done, awareness is the beginning. It is not just the transformation. The transformation requires new behavior, but you needed to do the audit in order to realize where the behavior needs to change. So I want you to set a 90-day dating intention manifestation, right? There is a difference. A manifestation is I am calling in my person. An intention is for the next 90 days, I will take specific action. Right? Write out what the action will be. It could be I will go on at least 2 dates per month. I will not rule someone out based on one date unless there is a genuine and specific concern. I will notice when I want to pull away and I will stay one moment past the discomfort. I will not use his astrological sign as an exit. The universe can work with that, right? Vague longing gives the universe nothing to work with, and a set of specific behaviors gives it an opening. So, step number 2, I want you to name your exit pattern specifically. From the audit, you should have some data about how and when you exit. And because you now have that data, I want you to give it a name so that you can recognize it happening in real time. Now, maybe your pattern is the flaw collector. You stay until you find a significant flaw enough to justify leaving, and then you focus on that flaw until the exit feels logical, right? Or maybe your pattern is the slow fade. You stop prioritizing, you get busy. You let it trail off without ever having to say directly that you are choosing to be out. You just let it physical. Or maybe your pattern is vibration checking. Everything is going fine until you decide his energy was off and that you retreated to protect yours. Whatever that exit strategy is, name it, write it on a piece of paper if you need to, because you cannot interrupt a pattern. You cannot stop a pattern if you cannot identify it. But when you name it, while you're in the spirit and in that space of naming it, I want you to also name or identify the trigger response because you have to choose. Name it, identify the response. Step 3, tell one person the truth. Not your yes friends, not the group chat that validates every decision you make. I want you to tell that one person who loves you and has enough perspective on you to hold you accountable. And I want you to tell them the specific truth. Something like, I've realized that I use manifestation and spiritual language to exit situations before they get real. And I want you to call me out on it when you see me doing it. That clear. That level of honesty, that level of out loud honesty to a real person is terrifying for high achieving women because we are the ones who have it all together. And admitting the pattern out loud makes it real. All right? Look, let's be real. You cannot change something that you are still pretending is not there. Okay? Now, step 4, cut your consumption in half and move the time. So, whatever time you are currently spending on relationship content, cut it in half. Take the time to free up yourself, take the time to free up your time so that you can actually pursue or be in a position to be pursued. Say yes to more social events. Say yes to more conversations with someone that you might have written off. This is not a permanent embargo on content, but it is a recalibration because right now the ratio is off and you know it. All right. Step 5, get into the room where someone can see your blind spots. And I know that's terrifying for you. But you cannot fully audit yourself. You cannot fully audit that weakness if you are nurturing that blind spot. And you need somebody who can call it out for you. It's very important. All right. The women I watch actually shift their love lives are not the ones who consume the most content, are not the ones who read the most books or did the most journaling. They are the ones who got into a container, a coaching program, a therapist's office, a community where someone who understood the patterns could see what they were going through, could see what they could not see for themselves, and loved them enough to name it. So I want you to get into a room like that, whether it's with me or whether it's with someone else. Get somewhere that challenges you, not just comforts you. All right. It's really important to do that because it's in that container, it's in that space where the magic happens. Now, I want to talk directly to the woman who has been in a manifesting season for a long time, 2 years. 3 years, some of you maybe even longer. I do not want you to hear this episode as an attack on who you are or what you believe. I want you to hear it as one honest question from someone who has sat with enough women in your position to see the pattern from the outside. Ask yourself, is it working? Not, do you believe in it? Not, is the practice valid? But specifically for you in your life right now, around this area of love, is it working? Because here is what I know about the woman watching this video. She is not soft. She is not passive. In every area of her life, if something is not working after 3 years, she does not keep doing it. She pivots, she adjusts, she gets support, she changes the strategy. She would never keep a business strategy running for 3 years if no result came from it and call it divine timing. She would never train for a race for 3 years without ever registering for one and say she's just not in alignment yet. All right. But in love, she is making an exception. In love, she is applying a completely different standard. And I think if she's honest with herself, She knows exactly why. Because love is the one place she cannot control the outcome. It is the one place where doing everything right does not guarantee the result she wants. It is the one place where she is asked to be fully human and fully seen with no guarantee that it will end well. And for a woman who has mastered control in every other domain in her life, that is terrifying. So she found a framework that made the terror feel manageable. And I understand that. I genuinely do. But I also know that on the other side of that terror is the thing she actually wants. Not a relationship in theory, not a person on a vision board, but a real man, a real connection, a real life that she did not get by waiting, but by deciding that the risk of being seen was worth it. She is allowed to want that, and she is allowed to go get it even if she's scared, especially if she's scared. The fear means it matters, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that she's ready. She has been ready. She's been ready for a long time. Now, the only question is whether she's going to let herself act like it. So here's where I want to leave you, right? I want you to do one thing before you close this video. All right. Are you with me still? Good. I want you to go back to those 5 audit questions. Pick the one that felt the most uncomfortable to you and the one that was most uncomfortable to answer. And I want you to actually answer it in your notes app, in your journal, on a napkin. I want you to write the honest answer, not the answer that sounds evolved, but the answer that is true. That moment of honesty on paper is worth more than a year of scripting, the vision board, and the journal. Because honesty is where real change starts, not manifestation, but honesty. And if what comes up in the audit showed you something that you are ready to actually do or something that you're actually ready to take action on, I want you to take the next step. That next step is go to my website. The link is below. Go there, read about the work I do, and if it resonates, reach out. No pitch, no pressure, just a real conversation between 2 women who are serious about your love life. And if this video gave you something today, I need 3 things from you right now. All right? I want you to like this video. It tells YouTube that this content matters and it puts it in front of more women who needs to hear it. So go ahead and like it. Number 2, I want you to share it. Send it to one woman in your life who's been in her manifesting era a little too long. You might be the reason she finally breaks that pattern. And number 3, I want you to subscribe because this is the kind of conversation I have every single week. No recycled advice, no comfort without truth, no content designed to keep you stuck. You come here for something real, and I hope I gave it to you today. So, with that being said, I will see you next week in the next video. And as always, my love, stay beautiful.